All right, good to get on the win column, and it was also nice to see us kind of lead with our defense tonight. And I figured, our defense is better than it says analytically, just due to the teams that we played. And, I think we're top 25 in scheduling on the offensive side in terms of offenses we played against, and so. It was encouraging to see some of the defensive work that we've been pouring into pay off, and to be a .80 tonight defensively versus really, to be honest with you, a top 45 offensive efficiency team. It's really what's kept them in a lot of games and gotten them an SEC win. And, really what they've done is they've gotten to the free throw line, they've gotten the ball downhill, they've put a lot of pressure on the rim, they run a lot of different actions. And, two things we wanted to do. We wanted to take care of the ball better because we didn't want to allow them to be in transition. We did that really well outside of a couple ridiculous plays there late, and we didn't want to foul. Right? We wanted to keep the ball out of the paint and limit fouling. And, we only fouled, I think, 11 times tonight, and we drew 17, which was good, that we were a little bit more aggressive there. And, neither team necessarily shot the ball well. We didn't shoot the ball well, but still, up 22 with about 5 minutes to go on a night where I think PJ and A Will combined for 2 makes on 15 attempts. And so it was good to see that. I thought JP and G had tremendous games. I also thought Davis Molnar was a difference maker for us from an energy perspective and just doing the small little things necessary to make winning plays. Garrett, first double-double of his career. Really proud of that. Defensive player of the game as well, analytically in terms of the things that we track, and he had a great offensive game. So, always try to convince these guys it's not one side of the ball or the other. It's are you in the right mindset to go play aggressive and to go play the game in a complimentary fashion. I thought Garrett did that tonight. JP, didn't have the quickest of starts, but I thought he settled in after he had, the rotation out. And I thought he came back in and really played much more aggressive, which we need. And we need him being aggressive. He's a really, really good player, and somebody that knows our system. I thought one thing he did tonight, he was an elite cutter. He probably got about 3 cutting layups, which was really good to see. And then he was aggressive from the edges, which I love. I want him to be aggressive. And then, paint started opening up, and he started getting downhill, started getting to the rim, and just really, really hard to deal with. So it was good to see him kind of getting that flow, and we know we're going to need that moving forward. So good workman type win tonight.
Coach, I told Garrett, I asked Garrett if he ever heard of a guy named Kevin McHale, because he kind of, the way he contorted his body and used all the backboard, he really reminded me of him tonight. Can you just speak to how he has been able to grow into that kind of player who can be a force down there in the way that he maneuvers down there?
Well, I think if you look at our offensive numbers, that the production hasn't really dropped. If anything, it's gone up a tad bit. But in terms of, for me, I'm always looking at where we generating points from. And, a couple weeks ago, we just weren't generating any post-up points. And, obviously Slauson did a decent amount of that for us last year. And so we've really tried to encourage G, hey, look, we want you playing on the floor. We want you really running our offense. But, you're good down there. You can score when you're back to the basket. And let's make sure we're not forgetting that. And, we've really been spending a lot more time, in skill and post-perimeter work to make sure he's touching that stuff up. And a lot of the stuff he did tonight, it's what they've been working on this week. And, Coach Johnson's really good at that stuff. He's tremendous with our post players. And, you can see that the spin move he did tonight. I was sitting there watching him yesterday. They were working on it. And, that guy gets top side, and all of a sudden you can get off of him quick. And, it's investment equals return, right? That's coaching, that's playing. When we invest the time and we invest the energy to make sure, hey, we want to develop that part. It's fun to see that take place. And Tyrese even had a post move tonight that was really, really good. He had that nice drive and then had that nice post move. So that was encouraging to see.
This was atypical of both teams in that, number one, this isn't atypical, I'm sure you did it, but every player who played in the game scored. Secondly, both teams had 2 double-figure scores. But the thing is that Presbyterian has frequently scored 55 points in the paint, and they had 40 tonight. But it seems like to me that what was unusual was about your defense. You didn't force that many turnovers, but there were so many times that PC had difficulty beating the shot clock.
Well, I thought we played with a little bit of a tighter floor, and we came out early and tried to be aggressive in ball screen coverages, and I just thought the hedging where it was aggressive, I thought it made the floor a little bit too porous, and I made a decision to just really, we started switching everything for a little bit, and then finally we just started going drop coverage with both guys just to keep the court tight. And I thought, again, going with the mission of the game, you know, it's my experience, you go into games trying to stop 3 or 4 things is really tough. But hey, look, if we can keep this ball out of the paint, then we're going to have some success. And you know, they're trying to get downhill, and we were able to keep those bigs, you know, in a drop and try to make the rim a little bit harder to access. And so, therefore, you know, they're moving it and they're reversing it, and maybe we didn't turn them over, but did we make them take a pull up too, right? Did we make them take a contested shot in the basket? Did we make them take a quick three? And I thought, you know, there's 2 defensive analytics that are really important. One is field goal percentage defense. That's always the number one indicator of how well you're playing defense. The second one is turnovers. And this team has not done a great job so far generating turnovers. So we better focus on field goal percentage defense, right? Like you can't not turn people over and let people shoot a high percentage. And so we've kind of shifted a little bit defensively. We want to be multiple in our coverages. We want to have versatility to do different things. But at the same time, for us right now, what we're seeing is keep this floor tight, keep the ball in front, and then let's try to make people take contested shots and see if they can score over us.
I would say that, I don't know, this is just an observation on my part, but your offense demands a lot out of the high post. And so it's sort of like an RPO for, you know, Slauson last year, now Garrett. Garrett really seems to be picking up when to go to the basket, when to look for the guy cutting off the ball. Can you talk about what you've seen, you know, the last couple games, if he can stay out of foul trouble, how he's been pretty successful in his aggression and going to the basket, but also at the same time his 5 assists tonight and recognizing like when JP's cutting to the basket. Can you just talk about that?
Yeah, Garrett's a complete player, and he's somebody that we really felt like we could make a step offensively this year, and you know, give us credit. Like he's been working on it a ton, and you know, he's got the ability. So kind of post players I love. Like, can they be threats at all spots on the floor, right? Like you saw in the Tulane game, we started playing him in the short corner. Obviously, we do a lot of stuff with him at the elbows and him at the top of the key. Tonight, we got him on the block a decent amount, and you know, we used to do the same stuff with Rafferty, you know, same stuff with Gurley, same stuff with Slauson, right? Just moving those guys around and seeing how the defenses are playing, and then you can kind of pick the spots on the floor that you want to attack from. And really, look, Garrett's getting confident, and there's a couple things in this game that you can't really quantify, but you know they're impactful, and you know, connectivity is one of those in terms of everybody fitting together. But another one is just confidence, and confidence in yourself, confidence in your teammates, confidence in your system. His confidence is growing, and you know, you can see that, right? You can see the way he shot the ball tonight. Like you can see him just the plays that he's attempting to make. He looks a bit more for sure himself. But again, going about what we just talked about, right? He's never been in the gym more, right? And so investment equals return. It's a funny deal, right? You can probably lay that rule on any layer of life, any layer of business, and the more he's put into it, you don't always know when that return is going to be. But you know, it's funny. You know, you look at the defensive efficiencies and offensive efficiencies, and you talk about playing the game the right way. Our 3 best offensive efficiencies were also our 3 best defensive efficiencies. You know, JP, Garrett, and Davis. And there's just, the game is complementary, you know, and it's something I always believe in, right? Like, you can't compartmentalize this thing, right? There's no stoppage, and you're either in the right headspace to go make the plays that you got to make and play the game the right way. And that's what I was most proud of those 3. You know, they obviously felt good offensively, but man, they really worked hard defensively, and they played complete on both sides of the ball.
Coach, you've had some gut punches this year, and after that one, after the final bell the other night, how did you know, a lot of times you play on Thursday and the Saturday. Was it kind of a good thing? Did it take a couple of days to get past that for these guys, you think? And was it kind of a good thing you had a little bit of break? I know people want to get back out there usually after a tough loss, but that one might take a little time to get over. Can you just speak to their response tonight?
Yeah, it was hard. I mean, you know, that was hard. You know, it was hard for coaches. That was hard for players. That was hard for fans. I think you couple it with the fact that kind of had 2 of them in 2 weeks. You know, and you know, but I'll be honest. I don't mind. You know, I don't mind giving you guys the lay of the land for us. I mean, coming back, it was a hard day. You know, and we took Friday off traveling back, and didn't have the practice we needed to Saturday. You know, the energy wasn't good, and you know, from our leaders, you know, at the top, and it's something that I thought it was one of those situations where we had to address it, and we had to deal with it. And you know, I'll give our team credit. I thought they dealt with it really well, and I thought the next day we had one of our best practices of the year, and we had player accountability, we had good energy, we had life. We looked like, hey, like we got to move, we got to turn the page. And you know, I think that kind of flowed into yesterday. We had a really good preparation day yesterday, and you know, today to come out and not shoot well, right? Game before Christmas break, you know, shots aren't going in. That can be a situation where sometimes you let that affect your defense, and it can put you in a game that can get away from you. And I actually think some of how we had to manage the last couple of days were beneficial tonight. And you know, look, at the end of the day, you can't control a lot of those things. You got to continue to move forward. And I told the team before the game tonight, like, if there's hope in the future, there's power in the present, and the power is in today. You know, like what's done is done, and we have hope in the future. This team, I know this team can compete for a championship, and this team will compete for a championship. And they're going to use all those experiences to continue to push them ahead. And it's not that it's going to be easy, right? But they're going to have to make a choice that, hey, we're going to keep moving forward. And, you know, every single one of our goals is ahead of us. You know, everything that this team wants to go try to obtain, we can obtain it. And I think the best thing we can do is move on, turn the page, and, you know, good news, bad news, old news. Like, you got to move on. And, you know, I think tonight that was what we needed, right? We just needed to get back on the win column. We needed to fill a win. We needed to have a good locker room, good celebration, see guys smiling, you know. And I think all this stuff is it's gonna be a benefit for us down the stretch, because, look, I mean, look at Davis. You know, look at some of these guys that have grown through this. I mean, look at how JP's played in the last couple of weeks. You know, his game's elevated, right? Alex Williams, how he's had to grow up, and you look at some of the things that we've been forced to grow in and lean into. I think as we continue to learn how to lead through it as players and embrace it and get comfortable with it, and keep bringing the joy that we have to bring with the urgency and the connectivity to keep getting better, I think we'll look back on it and say, hey, you know what, that wasn't easy, but man, that really built us. That gave us the ability to expedite some growth that maybe we got to a little bit quicker than had we not gone through it.
Davis Molnar strikes me as a guy that sometimes it takes a while for guys to recognize what their role is and embrace it. For me, I think, from my observation, he's a guy that, from really the Belmont game where he kind of came in and got, I think, a block and a steal, and really kind of changed the momentum in this first half of that game. And then if you look at his defense over the last two games, or when he's in there, he really embraces that role defensively. Can you just talk about how important that is for young players to not only recognize that, but embrace that role early on, is to leading to success?
Yeah, I mean, he's not somebody that necessarily, you know, you look down and you're like, you know, I don't even know what his stat line was. 22 minutes, 1 for 1 from the floor, 1 for 1 from the free throw line, 3 rebounds, you know, 1 assist, 0 turnovers, 0 steals, 0 blocks, plus 17. Right? You look at the defensive efficiency, and our second and third highest were .72 and .74. Okay, we're .80 for the game. He's a .55. I mean, that's the gap of that is immense, right? And listen, there's playmaking and there's scoring and there's all those things that pop up on a box score, right? To see a flare coming in Loyola from a mile away and to go deflect a pass that Raf did, you know, at the end of that game, and to see it coming from a mile away, like, you're never going to see it on a stat sheet, right? To just kind of be in the right spot at the right time, and like to enjoy that stuff and anticipate, and heads on a swivel, and like loves the tough plays around the basket. Like, there's no categories for that stuff, you know, and he embraces all that. you know, and going, we talk about the collective adversity of what we've been through as a team. He's also dealt with some, you know, he's had to keep charging through, you know, like wanted a little bit bigger role early and had to work his way into it, and, you know, getting more comfortable out there, and, you know, he's getting rewarded for it. But, you know, I just think he's one of those guys where, like I said on the radio, and Andrew Brown and Matt Rafferty, like, you just don't, the intangibles are just off the charts. And, you know, so he's a guy, like, that's why we started him, you know, in the second half. It was just because, I mean, I think we got to halftime and the plus minus was just outrageous. You know, it was like, hey, probably need to put him out there. And that's the stuff that you can't quantify, you can't measure it. And give him his credit. You know, he's a fighter, and I appreciate the way he's going about it. I appreciate the teammate that he's been, and you know, the guts that he's played with. And you know, I felt so horrible for him the other night, and had him up to my hotel room when we got back to the hotel, just because I didn't want him to wear that. You know, I didn't want him to have to carry that, and I knew if he didn't get that offensive rebound, that put back, and some of the plays that he made, really going back and watching the film, the first half defense he played at Tulane, we were down 14-8 when he came in. Next thing you know, it's 17-7. And, you know, you don't need 5 scores out there, right? You don't need 5 guys trying to average, you know, 20 points a game, right? We've got some, it's getting clear who the scorers are on this team, right? And one of them's not even out there right now. But we need some guys that are going to do, like, are you going to be willing to sacrifice? Are you going to be willing to share? Are you going to be willing to die for a ball? Are you going to be willing to box out? Are you going to be willing to go make the tough plays? Like, we need that. And right now he's providing that for us. And, you know, to be honest with you, it's bringing us some immense value. We had the highest plus and minus on the team tonight.
I'm good.
All right. Hopefully you guys have a Merry Christmas and get some time with your families. And we'll be back in the arena, I guess, December 29th or 30th? 30th. We get Jimmy Williams back in the house, and we'll have a good challenge versus Anderson. So enjoy the Christmas time, and we'll see you guys after that.